Hey there, yarn bestie. Jeff from Hobbii here, and you are listening to Skein and Tell, the podcast that unravels it all. Today's episode, well, we are talking about a yarn launch that has me absolutely buzzing. Here's Copenhagen Fibers. Now, this isn't just a yarn bestie, okay? This is a whole new Nordic chapter of knitting, where Scandinavian cool meets timeless design and where projects are so gorgeous, so soft, so made to notice that you'll want to show them off before you've even woven in the ends. So grab your needles, maybe your fanciest project bag, and let's unravel this Copenhagen Fibers story together. Okay, bestie, be honest with me. Have you ever pulled a sweater over your head when you're only just finished one sleeve? Or maybe you've wrapped a half-knit scarf dramatically around your neck, yarn ball still attached just to test the drape? Yeah, well, me too. Every single time. Now, there's this little spark of electricity in those moments, right? I mean, that rush of, look what I made. Look what it's becoming of what I'm making. It's not finished, of course. The ends are still dangling. Your stitch marker is probably poking you in the shoulder, but it doesn't matter. You just cannot help but share it. And that exact feeling, that irresistible mix of pride and joy, and maybe a little chaos, it's at the heart of Copenhagen Fibers. Now, this yarn collection, this yarn brand, was made to be shown off, to be worn straight off the needles, to be passed around at midnight with the cry of, okay, everyone, you have to touch this. Because sometimes a project is just too good to keep tucked away in a basket until it's, perfect. Sometimes the joy is in showing the world what you're making while it's still in progress. I mean, we all know that, right? So Copenhagen Fibers was designed with exactly that spirit in mind. Yarns and patterns so stylish, so deliciously soft, and so made to notice that you will want to share them long before the last stitch is bound off. So I wanted to also touch upon the fact that Copenhagen Fibers isn't just skeins stacked on a shelf. I want to talk a little bit about the yarns themselves before we moving on to patterns. So let's look into it. A new kind of yarn brand is what I have in mind when I think about Copenhagen Fibers. So Copenhagen Fibers, like I said, isn't just skeins stacked on a shelf. It is more like a mood. It's a city translated into yarn, if you wanted to, zhuzh up with some poetic lines over here. But it is honestly the perfect intersection where, clean Scandinavian design meets everyday coziness. The inspiration obviously is the heartbeat of Copenhagen itself. Think of the sleek subway lines. Think of the colorful facades of Newhavn, or the way everyone bikes past bakeries in perfectly oversized coats. The energy of a city that's super modern, super stylish, but still, I feel, is grounded in simple pleasures. That's the DNA of this yarn. Now, every shade, every fiber, every pattern in this collection or collections pretty much whispers a little bit of that Nordic edge. It's the timeless craft with a contemporary wing. So it's about making pieces that just feel as chic, thrown over your shoulders while grabbing a pastry, as they do when you're sipping tea at midnight or coffee at midnight, because that's me, with your yarn besties. Copenhagen Fibers isn't just for staying home and getting cozy, though it's really, really good at that, but it's made to be worn out in the world. For letting your hand knits walk besides you through your city streets, through your laughing session cafe moments, through those everyday little rituals that make your life sweet, these patterns need to be cool. These patterns need to shine. And these yarns, they need to help allow that, right? So these yarns are definitely made for makers who want their projects to feel like they are part of their life, to feel stylish, to feel wearable, and let's just admit it, to be a little iconic. So let's talk about the yarns themselves. So the yarns is the heart of it all, right? In Copenhagen Fibers, for now, we have carefully selected 6 beautiful yarns that we've crafted over the last few years. And I'm talking soft and I'm talking natural fibers chosen to make you swoon. Think airy alpaca blends and silky mohair clouds, buttery merinos. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Now, these yarns that are everyday wearables, but they also add a luxury feeling to it. So we have natural wool. Now this is the steady bestie, the yarn that gives stability and warmth and that crispy stitch definition that makes, for instance, cable knitting pop and colorwork really, really sing out loud. And if you want a sweater that holds its shape and shows off your hard work, then the natural wool is the go-to. Then we have the brushed alpaca. I mean, think of this one as the soft focus filter of yarn. It has this delicate halo that not only makes your knits feel like an absolute hug, but it also helps colors blend in beautifully, mix in beautifully. This one is perfect if you want your stitches to melt together in kind of like a dreamy way, right? Then there's also the baby alpaca blend. This yarn is obviously all about depth. It has this gentle melange effect, meaning that the shades look a little bit more complex. It's a little bit more heathered. It's a fantastic yarn for accent shades, or for when you want to make a project that has that subtle richness instead of just a flat color itself. And of course, there's the silk mohair, the diva of the bunch. The diva, light, airy, and with that gorgeous shine. When you hold it together with wool, it elevates your knitting instantly. It adds a beautiful lightness, a beautiful drape, and just a whisper of luxury. It's like turning your project from, cozy cafe to runaway chic, And peace of mind, too. The merinos are 100% mulesing free, which means that it's not only good for you, but also good for the sheep. Now, whether you're craving maybe a big cozy pullover, which is on my list, a fine layering tee, or maybe a classic knit that stands the test of time, Copenhagen Fibers, I feel like, really, really has your back. And together with these yarns, it really, really gives you endless possibilities. They have everything. They thought about everything. You have yarns that have structure, that have softness, that have depth, that have that luxurious Nordic feel to it. And then, of course, colors match beautifully within the different qualities, so you can mix and match or just use one and let that one shine. Either way, I think that as soon as they're on your needles, you will just have to try it on. Because honestly, you can't wait to wear it and share it. I've tried some of the sweaters on while they were in the makes, and I just wanted to walk around with like needles dangling around the office. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sweaters. And speaking of sweaters, let's talk about the patterns. Now, of course, an incredible brand of yarns like Copenhagen Fibers doesn't just, knock on your doors and then lets us figure out what we could make with it. We are also launching 2 superb pattern collections. I am beyond excited, to be honest, to just have a sit down at some point with Marianne very, very soon, who is the mastermind behind these patterns and has, I feel, a huge fingerprint in the creation of this brand, and get to know more details about these patterns and how they came to be and what happened behind the scenes, So I have, I'm poking her about an interview soon. So once that's up, please check out the podcast to follow up on it. But for now, what I can do is give you some kind of like teasers about the collection, or not teasers, but what these collections kind of are, right? So we have a collection that has stripes and one that has these beautiful, bold color works. Let's dive into it. So we have the Tekla collection and the Dorothea collection. The Tekla collection has these gorgeous clean stripes, super, super modern details. Think sweaters, think polos, yes. And even accessories that kind of like scream Scandinavian chic. They're perfect if you're into minimalism, but still want that, oh wow, did you make that? And then there's also obviously the Dorothea collection, this bold and Nordic inspired texture, color work that really, really, really makes a statement. And I feel also that the design play a lot with depth. So think mittens and yokes on sweaters that are just absolutely beautiful. And also accessories that look like they just walked off, once again, a runway in Oslo, or Copenhagen for that matter. Now, both collections are the proof that hand knits can be timeless and fashion forward. But at the end of the day, Copenhagen Fibers isn't just about yarn or patterns. It's about a feeling. It's the sweater you shimmy into before you've even bound off the collar. It's, like I said, that half-knit scarf you dramatically fling around your friend's shoulders, or a yarn ball still trailing behind just to see their smile. It's the quiet, the giddy pride of saying, look what I am making, even before it's even close to being finished. That's the heart of Copenhagen Fibers. Now, this brand was born from that irresistible urge to share, to hold up your project and say, isn't this too good to keep to myself? These are yarns made to notice, made to be shown off, made to become part of your life and your stories. And bestie, let me just get personal for a second. I had the absolute joy of watching this project unravel, stitch by stitch, meeting by meeting, swatch by swatch. And every week I saw Marianne's creativity pour into the design. And honestly, she just blew me away each time, the way she translated Copenhagen's spirit into stripes, into textures, into color work. It felt like watching magic take shape on the needles. And then there was also, the rest of the team who worked absolutely tirelessly behind the scenes, testing the fibers, chasing down the perfect mills, the colors, making sure everything lived up to the highest standards. The level of detail and of care and of love that went into creating this brand, it is honestly unlike anything I have ever seen before. So when I tell you Copenhagen Fibers is special, I don't just mean the yarns or the patterns are special. Yes, they definitely are. But I also want to highlight the people, the passion, the late night brainstorms, the endless cups of coffee, the samples that made us all squeal in delight at the office. This brand carries that spirit in every single skein. Copenhagen Fibers is more than just another yarn launch. It is definitely a love letter to the makers, to the crafters, to design, to creativity, and to those little electric moments when handmade joy can't be contained. It's for every knitter who has ever thought, this project is too good to keep a secret. So I really, really honestly believe that Copenhagen Fibers is truly made to notice. And that's our little walk through Copenhagen Fibers, bestie. I could not make an episode about this, because whether you're, a stripy girly or a colorwork queen or just here for the alpaca feels, I really, really believe that this brand is, like I said before, a love letter to knitting, to design, and to that irresistible pride we all feel in our handmade projects. So I wanted to share it with you, and I wanted to encourage you to check it out. Thank you for hanging out with me today, by the way. I hope that you are just as, smitten with Copenhagen Fibers as I am. Don't forget to subscribe to our beautiful, beautiful, awesome podcast so that you can listen to the next episodes, which are a lot of them are dedicated to Copenhagen Fibers, and I'm crossing fingers for Marianne to agree to an interview soon. And yeah, share this podcast with your fiber fam and your fiber besties. And please, 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 please go peek at the collection to find your next cast on, because it is honestly mind-boggling. All right, bestie, until next time, keep your projects cozy, your skeins untangled, and your cup of coffee warm. All right. Love you, bestie. Bye.